Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico.
Good morning.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a couple pre-lined up topics that we got set up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments, questions, and topics. If you guys have a question or a topic you'd like us to discuss, go ahead and fire it on in right now to our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, we'll address it, in the second half of the show. Now, just so you know, this tip link is also good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our podcast later in the day, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching this show later in the day when we're not actually live, you can still send in questions or topics when we're not live, and we'll just get around to answering them on the next episode. All right. Hey, before we get into the topics, I saw a little something today. They finally announced the Switch 2. Yeah. I don't know if you saw they switched to, and it looked like finally a new Mario Kart game.
Yeah, I mean, there'd been a lot of talk about this Switch 2 coming around. I'm like, is this actually going to happen?
For like 2 years, they've been talking about. And here's the neat thing about it. They're actually calling it the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Because like forever, every time Nintendo comes out with a new game system,
it's just
it gets a totally new name.
Yeah.
Right? But I think they know they found like kind of a winning
platform.
Yeah, a winning platform with their with the thing they got. It's going to be larger screen, bigger controllers. I like that little thing that'll make the two controllers one controller.
Right, yeah.
I got a PS5.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, I find myself gravitating more towards my Switch. I know you know what the Switch is better for?
Well, it has Zelda, so that's number one.
Well, it's got Zelda, and it's got Mario Kart.
Sure.
And all that kind of stuff. But it's just, hey, I've got 20 minutes to kill.
Yep.
It's like, that seems better suited.
Instead of a big story like video game.
Exactly, than like a lot of stuff you get in the PS5.
And it's great for groups. Like if you have a party over, like no one's rarely putting the PS5, they're throwing the Switch on for like Mario Party or whatever.
Oh yeah, I shouldn't even admit how many times Ann and I have folks over and we just play Mario Party. Yeah. We crack out the controllers, and then the yelling and the swearing and that's so goddamn unfair. Why did they give him a star for that?
I mean, that's my family. We're not even playing video games.
We just call that Wednesday dinner. Anyways, I was super excited to see that. I'm going to get it right away. The moment it comes out, I'm going to get that thing. Anyway, guys, let's actually get on to our topics here today, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. Today sucks.
Mm-hmm.
David Lynch has passed away. We just found this out a few minutes ago this morning. Breaking news. One of the most iconic filmmakers, one of the most trippy filmmakers of all time, has passed away. I believe it's said at the age of 78.
Yeah.
The folks over at Deadline, this is where we saw it, have written the following. One of Hollywood's worst weeks just got worse. David Lynch, the 4-time Oscar-nominated filmmaker behind Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive, Eraserhead, Wild at Heart, The Elephant Man, so many of those films are so good, and many others, also created the Showtime drama Twin Peaks, has died at 78. His family posted the news on social media. An eccentric visionary outsider. That's no word. There's never been an individual that those words applied to better. He earned Oscar noms for writing and directing the 1980s The Elephant Man, which is actually my favorite film of his, and for directing Mulholland Drive and Blue Velvet. In 2000, he received an honorary Oscar for Lifetime Achievement. He also took the Palme d'Or at Cannes for Wild at Heart in 1990 and was nominated for the prize 3 other times. He won Best Director at the Fest for Mulholland Drive in 2001. It's just crazy when you think about some of the great films of all time. Oh, and don't forget that original Dune movie. Which
I try to forget that one.
Yeah, but whatever you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody still talks about that Dune movie.
Sure, of course.
Like when you really think, when you see what Denis Villeneuve did with it.
Yeah.
And you think, wait a minute, he tried to do Dune when?
Mm-hmm.
with what technology, with what that was available to him as a storyteller. I mean, it was audacious.
Yeah.
To even attempt to do Dune. And I don't know that anybody else would have really done it. And then Mulholland Drive, which is a movie I would think about every day when I would drive past Mulholland Drive, when I still lived in Burbank.
There's so many of his films, I'm just like, to this day, I'm like, I'm not quite sure what that was about. But I have a feeling.
But that's him, right?
Look at young Naomi Watts there.
Oh my God.
From Mulholland.
Yeah, I love this movie. I absolutely love this movie. And here's the thing. He's one of these few guys who not only has made some of the most iconic cinema, he also, depending on how much of a cult following you want to consider it, made one of the all-time classic shows in Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah, that definitely had a cult following.
Massive cult following,
Yeah.
right? A very loyal, rabid cult following.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I admit I was never a Twin Peaks guy. And I never even tried to watch Twin Peaks Firewalk with Me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't good. I'm just saying I didn't even bother with it because Twin Peaks is one that didn't quite connect with me. But there is no denying that it connected with an audience.
Sure.
Yeah, dude.
And like, again, even for a show that didn't last that long, man, people still talk about it.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of defines a lot of his storytelling. Now, I see some people in the chat saying, was he ill? I didn't hear anything. I mean, again, I never heard anything either.
Mm-hmm.
This was very, very sudden, at
I was
least to those
surprised
of
to
us
hear
who
that.
didn't know him.
Yeah.
Like to family and people who knew him, maybe this is something they knew was coming. I don't know. But we have truly lost one of the most unique voices in an industry that sometimes suffers from sameness.
Yeah.
He was one of our most unique and original voices.
And this is really left field, but one of the things I really loved that he used to do was every day on KCRW, he would give the surf and weather report. And it was like a pre-recorded thing.
I didn't know that.
That he would give the radio station. And coming from David Lynch, it just made the surf and weather report interesting. I don't know.
Apparently he had emphysema.
Okay.
Yeah, I see some people in live chat saying he hasn't been well for a while and stuff like that. And again, I mean, look, he wasn't tragically taken from us at a wildly young age. Still 78 is not that old, but a truly, truly big gut punch for the industry. One of our most unique, eccentric, out of the box, crazy visionaries.
Yeah.
David Lynch. And at least once a month, I would field a question either on the show or in the comments somewhere, or somebody asking, when's David Lynch going to do, and yeah, it would really, really suck this morning for us to hear today that we have lost one of the truly unique voices in the business. David Lynch passes away at the age of 78. Guys, question is for you. When you think of David Lynch, what are the projects that come to mind for you? Maybe you're one of the many loyal people who you instantly think about Peaks. Maybe you're an Elephant Man guy like me. Maybe you're a Mulholland Drive or Dune or Eraserhead or whatever. Whatever movie stands out to you, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I have a love-hate relationship with AMC theaters.
Kind of noticed.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I think they do some really stupid things, and in my opinion, they've got a completely incompetent moron as their CEO. That being said, I still have some of my heartstrings are attached to the place. I worked there for many years. They are my movie theater of choice. I still go to when I go to the movies, and that's where our office was, right there. That's where when AMC Movie Talk really got started. That's where our office was, in that AMC Burbank 16 building.
That's a better.
Yeah, now
Those
you
windows
see
under the
picture?
live.
Now see that kind of round building there with the live signs on it? That was a storage room that the theater was just using for storage. And when they hired me on and they said we could have some space at AMC, we asked, can we take the storage closet and make a studio out of it? And that round room, that is where Movie Talk was born. Was in that room.
So I interviewed with you and Dennis Zen for the first time in that room.
That's right. That's where we met for the first time, was in that building there. That's where guys like Eli Roth, Chris Pratt, I mean, a whole bunch of guys would come in and meet with us, and that's the building they would come and meet with us at. But so, and they're my movie theater of choice. So a love-hate relationship with the company. Man, it would be more love if they got rid of the half hour of trailers for a movie anyway. But one of the things that I have always said that they do best is their customer loyalty stuff. The king of which is A-List, right? What do we pay? About $25 a month, and we get up to 12 movies a month, plus a whole bunch of other benefits, right?
Yep.
I've always said it is the best thing ever to happen to rabid moviegoers. That membership is the best in the business, because it doesn't matter whether you're going to see a movie on a regular movie screen, 3D, IMAX, Dolby Cinema, all covered, same price. Here it is. You go to the theater pretty much as you want. Love it. Now, they also have smaller tiers where you also get benefits. That's been around for a while, called AMC Stubs. And the bottom level of Stubs is called Insider, right? And that gets you a couple of things. It's free, and it gets you a couple of things. Well, AMC Theaters has actually done something we don't get to say very often, a pretty good move today, in announcing that if you're an AMC Stubs Insider member, which is free, you can sign up to be that for free. If in the course of 1 year, you go to see 8 movies or accumulate 5,000 points, which are easy to get, you automatically get upgraded to a brand new tier free with even more benefits. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, who wrote the following. AMC Stubs Insider members who see at least 8 movies will gain new status without paying a fee. AMC Theaters has tweaked Stubs A-List, the mega chain's movie ticket reward program, with an eye-turning occasional cinema goers into more loyal repeat visitors, something we've been saying they need to do for a long time. Beginning January 1st, 2025, AMC Stubs Insider members who see at least 8 Hollywood movies or earn at least 5,000 AMC Stub points in a calendar year will graduate to a new AMC Stubs Premier Go status. That allows moviegoers to secure nearly the same benefits of the, it's a typo here, of the benefits of the Premier level, not Premier Go tier, including waived ticket fees, size upgrades for drinks and popcorn without paying $17.99 a year, which is what you have to pay if you're part of the Premier program. So here's an outline of it. So if you are a member of, which is free, of Stubs Insider, and then you go to at least 8 movies a month, and listen, if you're watching a show like the John Campea Show, you probably go to 8 movies a year.
Probably.
For free, you get upgraded to this new Premier Go thing, in which you get double the points. So for every $1 you spend in an AMC theater, you are actually getting 40 points. And then you use those, every time you get to 5,000 points, you get a credit, you get a reward that you can use as money in the place. Anyway, you also get waived online ticket fees if you buy 4 tickets or more. So basically, you know, whenever you buy a ticket online, there's like a $2 service charge.
Right.
If you buy minimum of 4 tickets, like for you and your friends, the online fees are waived. Nice. You get a large popcorn and fountain drink on your birthday, or in your birthday month. Your points never expire. You get priority line access. And this is my favorite. Other than the free movies, this is my favorite benefit of A-List. This is an A-List benefit here. Free size upgrades on popcorn and fountain drinks.
Wow.
Do you know how much money I have saved? Not ever, not this year, not this month, but every week. Do you know how much money I save by just ordering the medium popcorn and paying for a medium popcorn and getting a large?
Yeah.
Or ordering a small soda and getting a medium? Like there's actually a dollar value to that. And that is an A-List perk, and they're giving it to you for free if you're a part of this membership thing. Now listen, in an era where one of the several things that are keeping a lot of people away from movie going is cost, whenever a movie theater introduces something that encourages movie attendance and actually makes it cheaper for the person to go, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Go to 8 movies. You're going to do that anyway. Sign up for this thing. Then you'll get automatic points, which will lead to free concessions. Then when you do pay for concessions, you get free upsizes. You get to waive ticket purchasing fees. You get priority line access. This is a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
And again, is this a world buster like Regal Unlimited or AMC A-List? No, it's not a world buster, but it's at least a sign of hope to me that like a mega theater chain like AMC Theaters is recognizing, oh, we better start prioritizing not getting every last dollar out of our customers that we can, but by getting more customers to come into our building. We better start putting our focus there. The focus of getting people to walk through our doors. And this is something, because you know what doesn't get people to walk through your doors? Let's add more trailers. That's not going to convince more people to come to your theaters. Let's add a new format that's going to cost $7 more to see. That's not going to bring more people through your doors. But moves like this, again, I think can bring more people through your doors. It encourages brand loyalty. It incentivizes and almost gamifies
Exactly.
getting more people to come to the thing, tracking your points and all that kind of stuff. It's a good move. Again, is it a world changer? No. But is it a positive thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
I say yes. This is something like I wouldn't tell everybody in the world to go and sign up for A-List because not everybody in the world is going to go to 2 or 3 movies a month.
Right.
But I would be very comfortable telling anybody, even somebody who goes to a movie once every 3 months, hey, you know what? Sign up for AMC Insider because you get some free perks. And if you happen to use it enough, you're going to get promoted up into this new tier where you get a bunch more free perks. And I actually think it's pretty good. And it's going to be interesting to see now if other movie theater chains will follow suit in adding more and more to their offerings. Because again, you will make more money overall. Listen to this. You will make more money at the end of the day by making a little less money off of each individual person, but getting a lot more individual persons coming into your building.
Yeah. Reward your customers.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, one of the big problems with the movie theater industry, especially in the last 5 years or so, has been, and I don't fault any business for trying to increase their revenue. I have no problem. That's business. I have no problem with that. But the problem with the movie theater industry the last couple of years has been their target for increasing revenue has been trying to get every last nickel they can out of the people who are coming to the theaters, ignoring the fact that they're alienating people from coming to the theaters, instead of focusing on making less money per person, but increasing the number of people coming. You're going to make more money that way. And hopefully this is going to be something that they can recognize and something they can do something about. And this is a good start. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this little move? Again, it's not like it's going to save you $5,000 a year, but it's going to save you something. And I think it's kind of a positive thing. It's nice talking about positive things that a movie theater chain is doing instead of crapping on them. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, back when they announced this new lineup for the DCU, this brand new entity, the DCU. Of course, we've got Superman is coming, Creature Commandos has just finished its first season, and Supergirl, as we talked about yesterday, is now in production with Millie Alcock and Jason Momoa. That movie's shooting as we speak. One of the projects that they announced was that James Mangold, director of Logan, might get an Oscar nomination this year for Best Director for Complete Unknown, which is probably also going to get nominated for Best Picture. Might get Timothée Chalamet his Best Actor award win. He'll definitely be nominated. But James Mangold is going to direct a Swamp Thing movie. Now, we haven't heard really much movement on this Swamp Thing at all in a while. As a matter of fact, they announced this thing in January of 2023. It's been 2 years since they made the announcement. And today, James Mangold, in an interview, has given us a little bit of insight, and it sounds like his Swamp Thing movie may be taking place outside of the DCU, much likened unto Joker or Penguin or something like, or not Penguin, Joker or Batman or something like that. This is what he said. James Mangold said, in relation to like Swamp Thing at DC, it's just a matter of do we find a way on the page to say something original, Mangold told MovieWeb. While I'm sure DC views Swamp Thing as a franchise, I would be viewing it as a very simple, clean, gothic horror movie about this man/monster. I'm just doing my own thing with this, just a standalone. Likening the film onto other popular titles such as Star Wars, the filmmaker added, I'm not that interested in being handcuffed by so much lore at this point that it's almost immovable and you can't please anybody. All right. So there's a couple of thoughts that come to my mind in this. First off is the whole question about, is this Swamp Thing even going to be in the DCU? Because I think there's a game of semantics being played, like the very fact that it's being produced by James Gunn and Peter Safran of DC, that automatically means it's DCU, but it may not take place in the shared cinematic universe.
Right.
Because when James Mangold says, look, I don't want to be connected to anything. I want this to just to be a standalone. I don't want to be handcuffed to other things going on in other movie worlds. I just want to do my own thing. To me, that sounds like this is going to be a great classic standalone Swamp Thing movie, which, listen, I am all for. I am all for this. I am not one of these, I've said this for a lot of years. I am not one of these guys who thinks every single movie should be all interconnected and be part of one big shared story. There was a time not long ago when we would just get great superhero movies that wasn't connected to some shared cinematic universe.
Right.
And if James Mangold, who again may be winning some Oscars this year, his film's definitely going to get nominated for a bunch of Oscars, and who did one of the greatest comic book films of all time, top 3 greatest comic book film of all time, Logan. I'll debate that with anybody, but him saying he just wants to do I love his description, a simple, clean, gothic horror movie. I love that. There's something beautiful about that. So whether or not it's going to be ultimately tied into the DCU cinematic universe or not, we'll have to probably wait and see. To me, it sounds like he's saying it's not. All right. But here's the other thing that stands out to me. And this is a problem with the entire genre, not just DC. He says at the beginning of this interview, let's go back to this for a second. In relation to like Swamp Thing at DC, it's just a matter of do we find a way on the page to say something original? What do you mean? You got to announce that you're doing this film 2 years ago.
Right. That kind of threw me. Like, if we can find something.
Maybe if we could find something. Have you been looking?
He's been hanging out with Matt Reeves.
Now, granted, he's got a little film, right? Yeah. Called Complete Unknown. Yeah. That he's going to get some Oscar nomination attention for and all that kind of stuff. Hey, it's not like he's had an empty plate. Okay, I'm not suggesting otherwise. It's not like Matt Reeves. Like, Matt Reeves wasn't busy directing another film while we were waiting for the Batman. So he's been busy, yes. But it was this month, it's been 2 years. 2 years since they announced this movie, and we're still at the place of, it's all about whether we can find the story. Here's a wild idea. Don't fucking announce that you're doing a movie if 2 years later you still don't even know what your story is. And this isn't just a DC thing. We've been struggling with this with Marvel too. It's been 5 years since they announced Blade. So, don't even get me going on Star Wars. I've literally lost count of how many projects were announced and then have just disappeared. I've literally lost count. It is legion. The number is legion. There would be a plethora of projects. I just wonder if maybe, James Gunn has said, we're not going to be making any, release date announcements until we have a completed script. That's great. That is something that the genre and the industry has needed to do for a long time. I think that's a brilliant decision. But here's another one. Hey, Kevin Feige. Hey, Kathleen Kennedy. Hey, James Gunn. Maybe, just maybe, you don't announce a project at all until you have a script. How about that? Or at the very least, how about you don't roll out and announce who's directing a film and who's starring in a film when you don't? Like, you want to say, you know what, we're going to get going on developing a Batman Brave and the Bold movie. Fair enough. But don't go, we're going to be making a Batman Brave and the Bold movie, and we're going to bring on this guy, in this case, Andy Muschietti, to direct the film, and then have no word from it from years, him even saying, I don't know when the film's happening, then finding out James Gunn and him aren't even talking, and one guy is saying, oh, the film's been delayed, and the head of the studio is saying, no, it hasn't been delayed. How about, what did Chris call it? Get your poop in a group?
Yeah, get your poop in a group.
Get your ducks in a row, get your shit together, and then make an announcement. Then tell the world. And again, I'm not trying to come down on either James Mangold or James Gunn. There was a lot of enthusiasm. People wanted announcements when they said James Gunn was taking over the DC. They wanted to get an idea about what the roadmap was. I get it. But I just think between Marvel and Star Wars and now DC, it's becoming a real epidemic of announcing movies when you don't even know yet what the hell your movie is.
Yeah, and we still got to figure out his Star Wars. So he's got a lot of backlog.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of James Mangold,
got a lot of backlog.
They've also announced like a year ago he's doing this Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
That he doesn't have a script for yet. I mean, it at least sounds like he knows what the movie's going to be.
It's going to be in space in this galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, and there's going to be laser swords, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
No, again, James Mangold is one of the best. He's great. I just, this whole pattern of let's make these big announcements when we don't even have anything right now.
Did you guys see the series? The series
Swamp Thing series?
Yeah, I actually like that series. I was kind of disappointed.
From the 90s or what?
No.
From like
the most recent one.
like 5-6 years ago.
Oh, yes.
During the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with that series was, do you remember what happened?
Mm-mm.
They canceled the series
Before it even started.
after the first episode.
Right. Yeah.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was after the first
I believe
episode.
so.
I believe it was the first.
Like, literally, the first episode came out, and then they canceled the show, and so nobody wanted to watch the rest of the show. People, they still aired the rest of the episodes.
Yeah.
It was reported that the show was too expensive.
I mean, and you didn't know that? Like, announce that. That's the thing back then.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't you just announce this after the show finishes its run? Like, you're going to let all the episodes air anyway.
Right. Shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, why would you hamstring this show by announcing that it's been canceled after the premiere episode when you still had, I don't know, what was it, 7 more episodes to come? That was crazy. Like, that was seriously one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in the business. But anyway.
You're right. Shortly after its premiere, DC Universe announced that Swamp Thing had been canceled.
Yeah. I mean, just kind of a crazy move.
I still like the show. I still finished it.
I thought it was pretty good. The first episode or two were a little, it's all right, but it got actually pretty good.
I actually thought he looked super cool in that show. Like,
but I didn't watch it until like months later.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, you cancel the show. I guess there's no point in me watching it, sort of thing. And a lot of people felt that way, I think. Anyway, bringing it back to this Swamp Thing here with James Mangold. Listen, I am going to look forward to this. It's James Mangold. I love his description of a clean gothic horror movie. I like that. That sounds good. But you don't even have a script yet? Really? Been 2 years? I know you've been working on other things, but you couldn't have people working. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? 2 separate things, really. Number one, what do you think about the little description of the way James Mangold envisions a Swamp Thing? And does it sound to you like it sounds like it's going to be a standalone outside of the DCU like I do? Also, this pattern of announcing movies and then years passing and them still not having a script. I don't know. I want to propose that they don't make announcements of movies until they got something in hand. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below. and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at CookUnity. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, CookUnity. You ever feel like so much of your day revolves around planning meals or preparing food, especially when you're trying to eat healthier? I know we all do, but that all changes when you discover CookUnity. Now you can enjoy vibrant, chef-crafted meals without spending hours in the kitchen. It's freed up so much of my time and energy to focus on my other goals. CookUnity partners with award-winning chefs, the same chefs you see on TV and those five-star restaurants, to create small batch meals just for you. These meals are made with fresh, local, in-season ingredients delivered right to your door. And here's the best part. They arrive fresh, not frozen, and all it takes is a few minutes to heat them up. I recently tried their Mom's Sunday Sauce Rigatoni, and it was incredible. Plus, knowing that I'm supporting local chefs and sustainable suppliers makes every bite even better. Whether you want variety, convenience, or just better food, CookUnity has it all. Reset your routine with convenient, mouth-watering meals crafted with local ingredients by award-winning chefs. Go to cookunity.com/Campea or enter the code Campea before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using the code Campea or by going to cookunity.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at CookUnity for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, before we get into our questions, I got to address this one comment in the live chat. Somebody who clearly doesn't understand how this works. Somebody in the live chat said, well, you know, James Mangold also had Kevin Feige behind the scenes to help make Logan. Kevin Feige did not help the creative things understand that critically. He was a producer on the film. He had nothing to do with the script writing, the development, the making of the movie, all that kind of stuff. He did not help James Mangold make that movie. Just be very clear about that. All right. Anyway, let's get on to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
We got Tom here who says, last few years, I've gotten very into the 1920s silent films. They do take some adjusting. I recommend starting with comedy, but so many are incredible. My favorite is Wings, which was Top Gun before Top Gun had won the first ever Best Picture Oscar. I mean, I think Wings, didn't Howard Hughes have something to do with Wings, I believe?
That's the only reason I think I'm even familiar with it, to be honest with you. I think, and then, I mean, then there was, of course, the classic Charlie Chaplin stuff and whatever, but I got into a little bit of a thing for that era. Back when I was still living, not even in Burbank, but when I was living in Hollywood. This was before I started at AMC. I was still doing the movie blog. And right up the street from me, there was this legendary, iconic diner that was literally across the street from Charlie Chaplin's office.
Nice.
And the diner was still there. And I had some filmmaker friends of mine take me to lunch there, and they told me about all the people, and then they talked about Chaplin and all that kind of stuff. And that got me on a little bit of a 3 or 4 month stint of watching a bunch of films from that era.
Yeah.
And
because now it's the Jim Henson Studios is where Charlie Chaplin's studio.
Well, we're talking about the one that was right across from the lot in, you know, the one further up.
Yeah.
So that was the one there. And then later there was what became the Jim Henson Studios.
Right.
I don't even know if that's there anymore.
It's still there. It's a
Is it
landmark.
still there?
Yeah.
Okay. But that got me on this little bit of a kick of those things. And you can draw you in pretty easy.
The thing about, just real quick, give you guys a little cinematic history. Because he mentions the 1920s and the silent era, people think, well, it must have been rudimentary and it's gotten more advanced and more advanced. Actually, before the advent of sound and film, cinematically, the silent film eras were quite advanced. And then when they added sound, they became very kind of rudimentary. Static shots, very kind of plain, because they had to accommodate sound, which is a new technology. And so they couldn't do these sweeping, wonderful shots that they did back in the silent era. So actually, it's kind of funny. Cinematically, it took few steps back because they had to add sound, and then it all caught up. So there you go. Check it out.
All right. What's next?
Blue Raha says, hello. Just wanted to send in some support yesterday.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yesterday, you talked about Hollywood should share more of the F-No to Secret War stories. Reminded me of David Ayer saying, Hollywood is like watching someone you love being effed by someone you hate.
I'm not quite sure about how that how A connects to B.
Had the
But-
F word in it, I guess.
Yeah, that's.
That
I'll
would suck,
tell you what, man. It's a really brutal cutthroat business. As I'm sure anything when a lot of money is on the line. Like I still remember the first time I actually you may not know this. I have actually had a couple of experiences of this, but the first time I actually got to go to a Hollywood major studio pitch meeting where I had agreed to kind of help produce something. And so I wasn't really part of the core creative team, but they asked me to come with them to this major Hollywood studio and set in with these VPs and do this pitch thing. And then finding out and seeing firsthand just how cutthroat and underhanded the whole thing can be. And I get it. Almost every industry is like that when money's on the line. It's not just Hollywood. It's almost every industry. But it's kind of like that. It is kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
Garden Variety says, you were talking about actors who don't get paid. It reminds me that while actors don't get paid to travel about doing press interviews, if they show charisma in a popular interview show, they can market themselves. I've started watching some actors because I found them charming. That's part of the game. Same goes for why actresses do magazines and pretty dresses. When actors understandably choose to live a quiet life on a ranch, they need to be twice as good on film or elsewhere. Social media also helps a lot.
Well, I mean, yeah, but social media, all that kind of stuff, but doing press junkets doesn't.
No, that's
It really doesn't. Listen, I've told this before, but in case you haven't heard it, like when I was running AMC, one of the big things that we did a lot of, and Jonathan, you know this,
Yeah.
you experienced this, was going and covering red carpets
and editing them.
and then having to edit them afterwards. And one of the big things I had to do was going to multiple times a week, go to the Beverly Hills, the Four Seasons Beverly Hills, which is the standard place that all the press junkets took place at, and be there for a day and go in and interview all the stars of the movies, right? And at first, like I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this think, that sounds so awesome. You get to go in and talk to Nicole Kidman and Robert Downey Jr. Like, it sounds great, right? Sounds great. But it really wasn't. It was really just a pain in the ass. And here's the kicker. Nobody watched them.
Right.
Nobody watched them.
And there were times I had to cut like sometimes 15 interviews in a day. And it was like 200 views.
Yep. Yeah. I still remember. I said this on air on AMC. There was a day that we literally dropped an exclusive interview I had with Robert Downey Jr. And we did a little editorial video on our favorite snacks at the movie theater. One of those videos got 800 views, and one of those videos got 25,000 views. And spoiler alert, the 25,000 views was very buttery.
Yeah.
It wasn't very Robert Downey
What
Jr.
did you guys do to Robert?
Yeah. How much butter did you think Robert did? And so I stopped going to them. And so I started letting some of my other staff go. And they all thought, oh my God, the boss is letting me go interview the stars. And then it didn't take long for them to realize it was a waste of time too. So eventually we just stopped doing them.
Yeah.
We just stopped doing them.
We held on to the red carpets a little longer, and then we're like, let's nix this too. But
yeah, we did still do some red carpets because those could be fun because you could get a lot of really interesting people on red carpets.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as time intensive, at least most of the time. So the idea that actors going around and doing the junket tour.
And even being charismatic, it's like, yeah, that's their job.
Yeah. I don't think it really does much for them, to be honest with you.
It makes them likable.
I really don't think it does much for
But
them.
it doesn't necessarily get them to work. There's a lot of charismatic actors that Keanu Reeves did not stop being charismatic in those gaps between Speed and Matrix and John Wick. I mean, it just happens. It's like, and also I think it's putting the cart before the horse when he mentions like actresses do like modeling spreads. Well, so do actors.
Yeah, but that's a totally different thing.
That's a deal for themselves. They're getting paid from these marketing agencies. They're not doing that to get jobs.
They're getting paid,
in
and there's a difference
movies.
between being featured on the cover of a popular magazine and having a 3-minute interview that nobody's going to watch
Yeah.
on YouTube. I
Well,
mean,
the point is that person is saying that that one interview changed his mind about some certain.
Yeah, it
yeah,
wins over
and the
your
thing,
hearts
it
and minds.
never happens, but the overall impact is nil. It really is. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Nick Hurd says, hey, John and crew, been watching for about 3 years now. Just want to say I really hope you don't retire anytime soon. Obviously, you and your health comes first. Just never want to lose our daily episode of movie news and good times. Love you all. Stay safe.
Oh, well, listen, in any of my discussions about my retirement and stuff like that, none of it has to do with health issues. It's
He's sick of movies.
yeah, I'm just sick of this bullshit. No, and none of it has to do with health issues. It just has to do with, well, I'm going to leave that discussions for now. All right? I'm going to leave that discussion for now. But yeah, none of it has to do with health issues. But thank you so much for the well wishes nonetheless.
As long as you've been talking with James Gunn about it,
Yeah, well, I'm,
you gotta have.
you
that
know,
open
I
communication.
was until he started shooting Superman. I haven't been in touch with him since
Yeah.
Superman. So, all right, what's next?
Danny B with a $20 tips.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate that, dude.
Says, hi, John and crew. I lost my dad and my brother 3 weeks apart in January of
Oh, that's
2022.
horrible, dude.
And I have to tell you that your show has been a great distraction from all of that. I'm glad that we have people like you to discuss movies and entertainment with. That being said, there's two. Oh,
You're an asshole. That
yeah.
being said,
I saw that now you should retire. I saw that Now You See Me 3 is coming soon.
God.
What do you think of the first two, and would you go for third? I like the first one. The second one I dropped out.
I didn't even think the first one was all that good.
It was okay. And then the second one was like, what?
Terrible ending.
Yeah.
But I mean, most of the first one was kind of okay. But here's the gist of it. The gist of it was great illusion and sleight of hand. But then it got to the end of that first movie, and it's like they're doing things that are completely impossible. Like there's no practically describing how they pulled off that illusion. What they are literally doing is completely impossible. And they're saying they're actual wizards, right?
You're
And
a
then
wizard, Harry.
2 was terrible. I thought 2 was terrible. I was really surprised to hear they were doing a third one. I have zero interest in a third one, to be honest with you. I like a lot of the people in it, which is part of the reason why I got so disappointed in it. Because I just don't think they're that good.
It was like
movies.
trying to be a Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
with magic.
kind of.
350 it made on the first one, and 334 on the second one.
Which isn't bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I have zero interest in it, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Piero says, John, my Spartacus loving brother, did you see the teaser for Spartacus House of Ashur?
Asher.
Yeah. It's like House of Usher. Not sure if it'll be good, but I miss Spartacus World. What is it?
Asher.
Asher was their version of an annoying Littlefinger.
Yeah.
Curious where they'll take it. What are your thoughts?
Well, see, here's one of the big key things about it is that Stephen DeKnight, who did the Spartacus series and then did season 1 of Daredevil on Netflix, is come back to do it. As far as I understand, he's actually the one doing it. I love Spartacus. It was for a long time in my top 3 favorite shows of all time. It just got bumped out by Shogun. But it's still my top 5 all-time favorite. I think it's great, and I love the Asher character. I thought he was great. I thought he was just a wonderful, wonderful character. And by the way, our own Erin Cummings was one of the stars of Spartacus. She played Spartacus's wife. And which is the reason I started watching it, because Erin was in it. And it just turned into one of my favorite shows of all time. So I really did like the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very true to the original series. And we'll see if they're going to be able to pull it off. All right, what's next?
We got Blade's dead, Jim. While I love Cavill as Soup, some part of Man of Steel gets rougher at every rewatch. His fight with the robot octopus in a void looks very uninspired, and I still don't get how Paul Kent thought his kid would rather have his dog saved at the cost of his life. He didn't want him exposed.
You don't get that scene.
Yeah, that's
you're not understanding the scene. First of all, I still like him having to struggle again. It wasn't much of a fight. It was really more of a struggle. That Superman thing against the for lack of a better term, it was kind of a, what's the word? Terraforming machine.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fight. It was a struggle, and that's fine. So many people misunderstand that Pa Kent scene dying in the tornado. They so misrepresent it, because you didn't do it on purpose, but what you just did was misrepresent the scene. It wasn't about, oh, it's the most important thing that I save Clark's dog. That was his dog. And you know what? If I was in a horrible situation and my dog was in a rough spot like that, I would try. I would try to save my dog. Now, something went wrong when he tried to save the dog, if nothing had gone wrong, he would have been able to go there, get the dog, come back. It would have been fine. But something went wrong, got stuck there. People completely, at least a lot of people, completely miss the importance to Pa Kent of Clark's secret staying secret. It was so important to him, and he felt it was so important to Clark, and it was so important to the world. Because remember, in that movie, Pa Kent's whole understanding, his whole philosophy was the world is not ready for this. This will have, like, Clark being here, it changes everything. Not just for his family, it changes everything for everybody on the planet. And his philosophy, right or wrong, was that the world was not ready for that. And Clark wasn't ready for it. And in that moment, he made the decision. I would rather die than risk the calamity that could happen to my son and to my world if my son right now exposes himself to come and save me. And in that moment, after just having a big fight with his dad in the truck, in that moment, against everything that Clark wanted to do, every fiber of his being was screaming out to go and get his dad. But in that moment, he chose to respect and honor his dad and trust his dad. He chose over what he wanted himself to trust his dad. And what has become a big joke of a scene to a lot of people, I honestly think most people have missed it. And that's on the storyteller. Like, if the audience misses something, that's on the storyteller, because the storyteller should be telling it in such a way that it's easily communicated. But to me, it is one of, honestly, to a lot of people, it's the biggest joke scene in the movie. To me, it's one of the best scenes in the movie. To me, it's one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. On a character level, I thought it was brilliant. Anyway, just me. All right, what's next?
Future Man has finally got Apple TV Plus and been binging Severance. Incredible show so far. What are some other shows on Apple TV that you recommend? I'm a big sci-fi guy and love comedy.
Well, everybody knows the first one I'm going to say.
Ted Lasso?
Well, no.
Oh, what? Oh, for which genre?
Shrinking.
Oh, Shrinking. Yeah.
Shrinking's the best show they've ever done.
I don't think of it as comedy, but you're right. It is comedy.
Yeah, it is a comedy. It's also extremely emotionally touching and everything, but it's a comedy. It's a hilarious comedy. So obviously Shrinking, it's the best show they have. Next up, I would say, is Ted Lasso.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would probably say, well, for me, Monarch. I loved Monarch.
Monarch is fun.
Sci-fi wise, yeah.
I loved Monarch because it was like, it still was like it didn't jump the shark yet.
Yeah.
Silo's a good sci-fi.
Sci-fi. If you want to see sci-fi, Foundation. I love Foundation. Mythic
For All
Quest.
Mankind.
Yeah,
For All Mankind. Mythic Quest is great. I love that.
And if you really want to test your sci-fi-ness,
Dark Matter.
Invasion.
That's
Wait,
real.
is Dark Matter an Apple TV Plus one?
That's the one with like the two different universes.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. That's for some reason I thought that was Netflix. And of course, Ray will want to put on the menu
Invasion. Because you know, Rob, everyone thinks it's boring, but
I love For All Mankind too, and there's a lot of good stuff, man.
They're great. Apple TV Plus is great. Got to give it to them.
It's the one I recommend to everybody.
And unless you have like a free trial that you're trying to get everything in by the time you know it ends, you could take your time and they have so much selection there for every genre. You'll find something. Oh, Tetris. Tetris the movie if you want to
Well,
watch
that's
something
on.
like that.
Oh yeah, and they have
Yeah.
movies too that they put out, obviously. So,
All right, what's next?
Sin Vendetta says, "Hey John, I know you said you were retiring at some point. Any chance you doing a live event at your final John Campea show? That would be cool. A send off into retirement in style."
No, I decided that when I do retire, I mentioned this on an open mic a few months ago. I am not going to announce it. I'm literally going to do a John Campea show, and then at the end of that show, say, "By the way, everybody, this was my last show." That's now. I'm not saying when that's going to be, but that's the way I'm going to do. I'm not going to make any kind of big deal out of it. I'm literally just going to end one show and say, "By the way, guys, tomorrow you're going to have a new host," or tomorrow there's not going to be a show, or whatever. But there's that. Not gonna dwell on it right now, but that's how I'm going to.
So if you want to catch it live, you got to keep watching.
Yeah,
every
you got to
day
keep watching every
until
day.
he
I
decides.
think he means like live and in person.
Oh no! It doesn't.
But if he wants to find out,
if you
when
want to
that day-
find out, yeah, when it happens, exactly when it happens,
and tell all of your friends.
you have to watch. Tell all your friends. It could happen any day, any year now.
Yeah, and like and subscribe.
Yeah, because
And
we
like
won't.
and subscribe.
We won't re-upload it. We'll actually delete that show that he announces it, just so you guys have to actually be here.
Delete it. All right, what's next?
What is next? The Brutalista says, Love Lies Bleeding was my second favorite movie of last year behind Anora. I think that its early release in the year caused people to overlook it. Gorgeous cinematography and star making turn for Katie O'Brien.
It was a real. Now it didn't end up on my top of the year list, but it was a really good movie, and I could tell. I remember the first time I got a glimpse of it was a couple of years ago at CinemaCon. They showed us a bunch of it, and I'm like, wow, like this looks really good, and it was really good. It's a special film. And if you haven't seen it, and I know a lot of people haven't because it didn't do great, but you should. It's a really, really nice film.
You know, the only reason why I want that movie to win Best Picture is because I want to hear Anora.
Anora.
Or
Yeah, it's not Legan's
I
name.
want to say Best Picture goes to Anora.
Anora.
Yeah, it kind of confused me because it came out around the same time as Drive Away Dolls.
Which I often would confuse.
Yeah.
Like I'd be talking about one film and like Chris would point out to me, no, that's Drive Away Dolls. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Like I would sometimes mix them up and I don't know why I did because they're very, very different films.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Jaden Daniels is him. Says, do you think we'll see Kira and more Skrulls in Doomsday or Secret Wars? Secret Invasion was so bad it might have killed any future plans for them.
I mean, Skrulls, possibly, right? Because they're there. It's part of the universe. They can be brought in anytime they want or make it as a side issue in something. I really think I think we just need to forget the Kira thing ever happened. That was horrible.
I think that, yeah.
And there's just no coming back from that.
That was I think we're going to see that a lot because that was the end of the era of the paycheck where it was still paycheck. I said that by accident. Where it was still just phasing
What was
out.
her name? No, her name wasn't Kira. It was Gia or Guy or anyway.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Whatever the Mother of Dragons' name was in it.
Right.
You got it.
She was terrible.
That was a holdover from the past administration and now Feige's not a middleman. So I think we're going to say goodbye to a lot of that.
Again, just this whole thing. I remember watching the show and literally having my hand on my face like this going, oh my God, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. Like whoever wrote this,
The bankers.
take their laptop away from them and piss on it. Like
Jeez.
it's just like, it's like
Really?
who thought? Okay, so what we're going to do, see, is they collect all the little DNA from all the superheroes and they make one super goop. And if you give it to them, they get all the superpowers. Really? Because I'm pretty sure they would just die. No. Gives them all their superpowers. Really? Wait a minute. Time out. So you're telling me it's that easy? All you got to do is get a drop of sweat or a skin follicle or a piece of hair or a drop of blood, and you can just instantly give anybody, the superpowers that person just had? That's cool. You're just going to now we're going to have one character who literally has all the superpowers?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What? What
yeah.
the fuck?
They
It was
said-
so bad.
They essentially made her Peter Petrelli. Where it's just they had to then like fix that in Heroes because it was too overpowered. Which I think he should have been too overpowered to fight Sylar and then but
Well, yeah,
whatever.
Skylar. That was the thing, because and there was a trick with Peter. I don't think he maintained all the powers.
What happened was that they had to bring him down so he could have one at a time.
Yeah, whereas Skylar, that was the problem. Like once he would ingest or do whatever he did with the brain tissue of someone, he could take in that power, and then his powers just multiplied. So they had to have somebody who was a counterpoint to that, but different,
Right?
that could possibly go to toe with him. But it was slow. It was gradual. It was explained. It was built up. This was like, oh no, what are we going to do? Turns out I got this elixir, and we just give you a little shoot, and you're going to have all the powers. It was so dumb. So dumb.
You know what kind of damage piss would do to a laptop?
A lot of damage, especially if it was plugged in. That's why I say piss on that laptop. Piss on it, I say. All right, what's next?
Gonna hear from our members. Colin says, "Rest in peace to David Lynch."
Yeah.
And then Mark W says, "I watched Alien Romulus for the first time, and wow, it feels like a proper throwback to the original Alien movies. I loved it. Loved it.
You know what? Aliens and Predator were both things that I felt very comfortable saying these are dead franchises. Right? Still great stuff they had, but they've been dead. Nobody cares about them anymore. They're dead. And then Prey came out. It's like, whoa, maybe Predator's back. And then I felt the same way about Alien, and the trailers for Alien Romulus look good. I had some high hopes for it, but it really delivered. I enjoyed that movie way more than I thought I would. It's easily the best Alien film since Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, anybody getting into becoming a film fan today, I would just say forget everything that came after Aliens and just pick up with Alien Romulus. It wasn't as good as Alien and Aliens, but it was worthy of the name. I thought it was worthy of the name, and I had a really, really good time with it. All right, what's next?
Scotty doesn't know, says, "Do you think War Machine shows up in Cap 4, or what about Jimmy Woo?"
Jimmy Woo wouldn't make sense, although
Yeah.
I wouldn't be against it. He's a character that could pop up here and there. War Machine, I mean, listen, he popped up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It would fit for him to make an appearance. So if I had to guess who was more likely to have a cameo, War Machine or Jimmy Woo, I would say Rhodey. I would say War Machine
100%.
would be the higher chance that we see one there.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Brennan says, "Hey, John and crew, I had the honor of meeting the cast of Back to the Future last weekend.
Oh, nice.
It's my favorite movie of all time and is the reason I want to become an actor. So my question is, are there any films for you guys that completely changed the course of your life or outlook on life?"
Star Wars.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna, Star Wars for you for sure.
So, like, it's my earliest childhood memory, and it completely it made me a lifelong film fan, and what got me to start that first little blog about movies, and it completely set the course. But it's also, it kind of brought my imagination to life and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for me, it's absolutely Star Wars.
There
Do you guys have a movie like that?
Yeah, Terminal.
My God,
It made me realize there's evil people in the world that don't like to be happy,
that should retire soon.
that may announce their retirement anytime soon.
Anyway.
So stay tuned.
I don't think I had any one. It's probably a collection in terms of like my appreciation for comedy. It was like Laurel and Hardy and stuff like Monty Python. But yeah, not any. It was, for me, it was like a collection of so many great things.
We do have all those movies that if it's ever on or we choose to, it just puts us in a better mood no matter what.
Oh
we're
lots
in.
of them. Lots of them.
Mine is Employee of the Month
There you go.
with Dane Cook. It absolutely makes me feel really good. I don't know why.
I've got a couple like that. Like Zoolander is one of those ones for me. Step Brothers is one of those ones for me. That like, there's a couple of movies in my pocket that is like, if I'm ever just in a bad mood and I just need to put something on to just instantly lift my mood, I got a couple.
Those
of
are awesome. Those are always awesome.
All right, what's next?
Joe says, "Hey, John and crew, hope your day is doing well. Love Skeleton Crew so much. Do you think that because they left the show so open, do you think that Mandalorian movie coming up, that Mando and his foundling will have a hunt down the force sensitive. Oh, Pirate King. I don't think so. I mean, we never see him get captured. Love to hear your thoughts. I think more likely you get a season 2 than you see him in Mandalorian.
They absolutely should in no way connect Mandalorian to this.
I agree.
Because then they'd just be shrinking the universe again. Where everybody, like in a universe with billions of worlds and untold trillions of beings, that everybody knows each other. So no, I don't think there's any chance of that at all.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to have to wait to see how good the ratings for Skeleton Crew got, because as expected, they started very low, right? There wasn't a lot of interest in Skeleton Crew other than those of some of us. So the ratings, as expected, started very low for the first episode. We heard that the ratings went up every week, but now we got to actually see those numbers. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if they got decent enough, the show is one of the best things I've ever done. So hopefully we get the season 2. And if they do, I don't think there should be any connection to Mandalorian. All right, what's next?
Joe says, hey, John and crew, I hope you're all doing good and keeping safe. I just read the next installment of Alien will be a new story following Rain and her brother. Have you heard anything about this yet?
Well, I mean, really, we don't know. What the director of the film said that I just want to come up with a story where we still have the same characters, but in new locations and environments that we've never seen in Aliens before. But again, he doesn't have a script yet. So it could be that, it could be something else, but that does seem to be the direction that he's going in. And I'm good with that. I don't want another Alien movie with a bunch of brand new characters, period. I want to now follow the story of this girl. And let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got Amin, who says, saw 7 for the first time last week. Saw it in IMAX, loved it. Not as scary or intense as I had heard, but still great. Where does it rank amongst Fincher films for you?
I don't know how I'd rank it. Honestly, it's not one of my favorites.
Of his?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. And I did find it to be pretty intense. And with all the debate that has endured for decades about what's in the box, sort of thing. So I wouldn't say it's one of my complete favorites, but it's one of the really good ones. I did enjoy it a lot. Mm-hmm. All right. What's next?
I didn't realize he did The Game. I love that movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, with Michael Douglas and Sean Penn.
Yeah.
That was a trippy movie.
Yeah. The first time you see it, especially, like once you've seen it, the gags out of it, but the first time is great. Dominic Suma says, do you think the Mandalorian movie's production quality will be noticeably better than the show was? And if so, will that make it hard to go back and see the downgrade in a potential Mando season 4?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I would expect that it would be upgraded because, again, instead of spending, $25 million per hour, there's probably going to be spending $100 million per hour on it.
Yeah.
So you'll probably see it. It's fine going back because you're just going to be in different environments. I don't know that there's going to be a Mandalorian season 4.
Yeah, I feel like this ends it.
Yeah, we'll see. There's a bunch of rumors going around about this, that, and the other thing. Season 3 wasn't great. And it's almost played out. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm interested in the Mandalorian movie. I am, but I have some reservations about it. But I think it would be fine. I think you can go to the movie screen and then come back in theory. I don't think the production value is going to throw people off too much. All right. What's next?
We got, I think it's our final one here. Right. Cultural diplomacy. What's a retcon that you don't think was a retcon? Magic existing in the MCU was planned. Doctor Strange was going to be in this MCU Thor. Was saying Sorcery was a tangible force, and thus it's in their scientific knowledge.
I don't know what it is you're asking.
Yeah, because I feel like you're saying that's not a retcon, or that it is, but it was going to be... The sorcery was a tangible force. Well, that's just his understanding of it.
Well, I mean, like to Thor, remember, you call magic, some people call it science. To us, it's one and the same.
Yeah.
Right? There's actually a science to magic. At least they're on their world and what they are. I don't consider that a retcon at all. But what was a retcon that wasn't a retcon? Well, then I wouldn't even know how to define that.
Right.
you know, so I don't know. I'm not really clear on what it is you're asking, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the guys in the room with me, Ray Ora.
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
Be here on Friday.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.